right, everybody, welcome to the latest episode of Fourth Line Minutes. I am your co-host, Chris Maselli from Locked On Avalanche, or whatever. And with me is my co-host, Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan, or whatever.
Whatever.
Yeah, man. What's going on? How you been this week?
Living the dream, getting close to Christmas,
right?
Ramping up with some hockey news.
Yes. So,
which is the gift that keeps on giving.
Absolutely. Yeah, to kind of give everybody the rundown, we will be discussing the return to play, which is final. It is finally up on NHL.com. So that is as final as it can get. And we're pretty much, this is going to be a two category show today. It's going to be return to play hockey and Mandalorian, which this will probably be the last time we talk about Mandalorian for a while, because season's over. At
least a year.
Yeah. So we'll get to those two things. And I just got an email from Mr. David Locke himself. I'll have to read that later on.
Boy.
Yeah. All right. So, well, first of all, I guess we should probably fill people in with the or whatever thing that we're doing, because we are Avalanche fans, and people who watch.
What are you talking about? No Avalanche here.
Well, but that's a solid. Who is that? Korea, or is that?
No, this is actually. I found this in a thrift store.
Oh, really?
And some dude named Hibbard put his name on the back and a 7, but it's like sewn on, like it's legit. Like I googled.
Was anybody ever 7?
Like number 7 Hibbard does not exist, but everybody just kind of freaks out over the old Mighty Duck stuff. So
I was gonna say somebody from the movie. Maybe was somebody number 7 for the movie. I have no idea.
Whoever Hibbert is, thanks for the jersey.
Thanks, Hibbert. So, but solid jersey, love it. And are you going to get a retro in the Anaheim? Because that is
Wild Wing.
That is amazing.
It's impeccable.
That is amazing.
That's on the list.
So the or whatever thing is Nathan MacKinnon gave an interview to a podcast, and they brought up, the return to play, and his response was, well, yeah, I guess we're the favorites or whatever. Just so like Nathan MacKinnon. Like, I haven't heard the audio, but I said this on the Avalanche show. Like, I can almost hear his demeanor saying that. He's so unassuming. Just so like it's just so like, yeah, we know we're the favorites, but we have to still go out and play. Doesn't matter. And it's like kind of like sweeping the social media and Avalanche world. I think you're going to see this on people are going to bring signs just or whatever. I think you're going to see it on the Jumbotron. I think this is the new mantra to get behind for Avalanche fans. I love it.
Yeah, it's the equivalent of a couple years ago when Carolina adopted a bunch of jerks.
Yes, exactly.
I think that's what the band. I mean, and Nate MacKinnon in his Nate MacKinnon way, it's hockey cocky is what it is.
Yeah.
It's that humble, humble beat in your chest. He's hockey cocky.
Right.
So.
Yeah, exactly. So I got to listen to that podcast. I want to hear the full interview. So
yeah.
But he did mention the return to play, which we have it. We like I said, it is. I think it's signed. I'm assuming. I don't know if maybe it's not officially signed yet, but it's out there. The verbiage is out there, and it's pretty much everything that we thought it was going to be. 56 game season starting January 13th. No preseason, but January 3rd is boot camp, I guess you want to call it, training camp, and kind of go from there. Division wise, you're only playing the teams in your division. So like in one breath, I'm happy we're getting hockey back, but in the other, it's like, this doesn't really feel, is it going to have the normal feel of a hockey season? Is my big question. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, with some arenas being open to fans, we're going to get that aspect of it.
Yeah.
We'll get a little bit of the fan that we missed out in the bubble.
Right.
But it's going to get a little bit annoying seeing the same teams over and over and over.
I know.
But on the flip side of that, I think that's where we're going to get some good like rivalry and hatred that we usually get in the playoffs when you play a team that much.
Yeah.
I could see like teams that we're going to get sick of Anaheim, and Anaheim's going to get sick of us. And
Right.
I think that over time it's going to get chippy, and storylines are going to come out with, well, you remember how they played them in Game 3 or Game 4,
Right.
and players are going to go after certain players. And I think it's going to be annoying at first, but the more the season plays on, I think it's going to get a little spicier. If that makes sense.
It could. I think that's a good point. I think you could get some new rivalries that come out of this. And I'm trying to, but the teams that, well, you want to get to the divisions here?
Yeah.
Let me see here. I got to bring this up. So because who could new division rivals be? Speaking of like Avalanche, they're bringing the Blues and the Wild in with them. And I think that's it, right? Those are the only. So here, I'm bringing up the.
Yeah, I got it right here
right now. I got it. Yeah. So I guess we'll start there. So I mean, outside of Colorado and Minnesota and Colorado and St. Louis, is it going to be like Colorado and Vegas? Because those are two that's the upper echelon of that division, and I can't see Colorado and like Anaheim really being, maybe they get sick of each other, but I can't see them being like rivals. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can't really see, other than Vegas, a rival within that division for Colorado. And who could, I mean, outside of Colorado, I just don't want to make this a Colorado thing. Who are two teams that are kind of like interdivisional that could be kind of hating each other?
Arizona. I mean, they were annoying in the playoffs.
With Colorado, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd be, and not dealing with Colorado, it'd be nice to watch the Sharks and Kings on repeat.
Yeah. Okay.
Like the battle with the California teams, that'll be fun. Like watching the Ducks and Kings, the Ducks and Sharks, and that'll be fun. Watching, which I thought was an interesting move. We don't get to play the Stars like they were hyping up before.
Mm-hmm.
And I was it would have been interesting to see Minnesota and Dallas go at each other, because Dallas used to be in the Minnesota North Stars.
Right. Yeah. Well,
so it would have been like Baltimore Ravens, Cleveland Browns kind of deal.
Right.
So it would have been nice to see those two teams go against each other. Vegas and San Jose.
Yeah.
They got a pass. They got a history.
They do, right?
But Anaheim's the odd man out in this whole thing.
Yeah.
Minnesota, they match up well with everybody, but Anaheim, they're the odd man out.
Well, my question for this division is, with Minnesota coming in and not Dallas, who's the fourth team for the playoffs in this division? It is clearly top heavy with Colorado, St. Louis, and Vegas. Those teams can kind of go through the motions and probably make the playoffs in this division.
Yeah.
Who's the fourth team? It would have been Dallas, but is it Anaheim? I don't think so. Is it Arizona? Maybe. I mean, Arizona, like, you have to be the best out of these teams. Anaheim, Arizona, Los Angeles, Minnesota, San Jose. You don't have to be, that's going to be a low grade team that is given a playoff spot. Who's it going to be?
It could be Minnesota.
It could be. You're right. Yeah, I think it's going to come down to Minnesota, Arizona, and that's not saying much about Arizona. I think it's just because they don't have to do much to get a playoff spot. And if they can get a run, because this is a shortened season, anything can happen. If this was a full 82 game season, I'd say no shot. But I think Los Angeles maybe can put something together.
Yeah.
To get, they don't have to be this great team.
No, San Jose is relying on Devin Dubnyk in goal now.
Right.
And I really don't think this is the year to rely heavily on Dubnyk, especially on 56 games. this is not Dubnyk's year. I mean, he aged out of Minnesota, and they were glad to let him go. San Jose needs help back there, and Dubnyk's not the way to go. The Kings look good.
Yeah.
Could this be their year where they get that 4th spot? Possibly. Minnesota's been ramping up for a little while, and they got good young talent. I mean, and it'll be nice to reignite that rivalry a little bit with Colorado.
Yeah.
And they can have their say on if they make it in the playoff or not.
Yeah.
So I think that'll be an interesting who gets 4th in the West.
It's gonna be very interesting. Let's move to the North. They're calling it the North.
The North.
And it is the North. It's
north as you can go.
Our friends in the North, the Canadian division, all the Canadian teams, not bringing them to the United States, which is something that I guess they were throwing around, which I think would have been a terrible decision.
And I don't think we've heard in finality yet what they're doing with them.
Well, you mean like for the playoffs, or just
period?
I think they're staying in Canada. I don't think they're bringing them here. I think that would have been major news for them to come.
I know British Columbia is still giving them issues about coming in, and I think it was they have to get approval from 4 of the 5 in government in British Columbia on letting NHL teams travel into British Columbia.
Yeah,
when it comes to Canada, and I know that's what they're still working with. But in that NHL FAQ that they put out, they don't address the sticking situation with Canada travel and what they'll do with the playoffs. So I think that's still in the air, but they're a locked-in division.
I think the NHL is just hoping and praying that by the end of the 56 games, we have some sort of leeway on crossing the border.
Yeah,
because if we don't, I don't know what you do.
Yeah.
The only thing you can do is just, have the governments kind of talking and allow those teams to come over, and then you don't start the playoffs for 2 weeks. So those two teams can just sit in a bubble and not do anything. That's really the only thing you can do. I can't think of anything else. But this will be a fun division to watch. The Canadian teams kind of battling it out.
Absolutely.
So, you have your Toronto and Montreal, obviously. Was there anything there that, the West Coast Canadian teams versus more like the East Coast, maybe like Vancouver and Montreal or something, or
every one of these games,
they're just going to be battles, man.
They're going to be great television games. Every one of these games. I'm very excited about the North. You're again, like the West, your top 4 is pretty evident.
Yeah.
And who's fighting for that last spot? That'd be the question, but
so it's obviously Toronto, I think, is the front runner here. And then it's like
Toronto, Montreal, Edmonton, and then possibly
Calgary.
Vancouver.
But Calgary's up there too, man. Calgary's a pretty good team.
I think Vancouver's in a better spot than Calgary is.
This division is going to be like a baseball season, like coming down to the wire when there's a really good baseball season, you have like 8 teams battle that are within like 3 games of each other for like the last spot.
Yeah.
I think this is even like Ottawa's probably going to finish on the bottom, but they are an improved team.
Yeah.
They're not going to be an easy game. So I think after like Toronto, Toronto, Edmonton, I think Calgary is up there, and probably Vancouver, and then even maybe just those 3. All right, say Toronto, Calgary, Edmonton. Everybody else, though, that's going to be a fight, dude. I'm telling you, this is going to be a fun division to watch, because every single one of those teams could be battling for that last spot, including Ottawa. Don't count them out.
True. And Montreal with Carey Price with 56 games. I mean, that's what he's made for.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
exactly. Yep. Really looking forward to the Canadian division. Central, you got Carolina, Chicago, Columbus, Dallas, Detroit, Florida, Nashville, Tampa. That's a good division. I think that's, you got the champions in there. Carolina's a very good team. Columbus is a good team. Dallas is a good team. Detroit will be improved. Detroit will be like Ottawa. They'll be improved, and they'll be a tough battle. Chicago's on the downswing. Florida is Florida. And Nashville's kind of like, I don't know what to get out of Nashville.
Yeah, Nashville.
I don't know. But I love that Chicago and Detroit are in a division.
Yeah.
Original 6 teams. I think those will be fun games to watch, even though those are 2 teams that'll probably finish on the lower end of that division. Still like must-watch games. So anybody really going to battle Tampa, maybe Carolina, but not really press them too much. Yeah.
No, it's going to be Tampa's division to lose. It'll be interesting to watch Chicago and Dallas. It'll be interesting to see what Columbus can do. They've always been quiet, and they always make noise in the playoffs.
Yes.
Columbus would be a good one to watch. That it's a scrappy division, that Central.
Right.
And this is the year to make your name. A lot of those teams have been through rebuilds and shipping talent in and out. The Central, this is the good year to establish yourself going forward.
Right.
And I got a target on Columbus. I really like what they're doing.
I think so. I think, like you said, this could be their time to, and the way that the playoffs are orchestrated, which we'll get into in a second. Yeah, man, like it could happen for a team like Columbus this year.
Yeah.
And then wrapping it up with the East, I think this is the best division.
Yeah.
By far. Boston, improved Buffalo team, New Jersey. Okay. Islanders kind of, they had to unload people. Improved Rangers team. Philadelphia is a favorite. Pittsburgh's a favorite. Washington's a favorite. Those guys are going to beat the snot out of each other. It could be good. It could be bad. It could be good because they're seasoning themselves and they're playing really good competition for 56 games, and then come playoff time you're ready. Or you might get the crap beat out of you for 56 games, and when playoff time comes you're hurting.
Yeah.
So I think Philly is going to win this division. I don't like Boston is going to come down to earth. Everybody's still high on them just because they are Boston, and in the past couple of years they've been phenomenal. Number one, that has to end at some point. And when it ends, I think it ends tragically. I don't think Boston is going to kind of fall off the face of the earth like San Jose did. Yeah. From San Jose going to the conference finals to being garbage in a season. That's not going to happen in Boston. But Boston is not going to be anywhere near the President's Cup in these standings. I don't think at all. I think Philly is number one. I would even put Boston at number 3 in this division, to be totally honest with you. Behind. Go ahead.
I worry about Boston.
I do, man.
They lost Torrey Krug. Zdeno Chara probably not coming back. Tuukka Rask, that's still a question mark. How does the team feel about him leaving them in the bubble?
Right.
Like, is there some bad blood there? Is it like a Marc-Andre Fleury type deal where everybody's like on eggshells walking around Tuukka Rask?
Right.
They're getting older. They're not really improving.
Right.
I really feel like this is Boston really hitting a downturn in what they've been working on, and I don't see them representing the East in any way this year.
You think they're going to miss the playoffs?
I do. I think this
really
is the beginning of the end of the Boston.
Wow,
that we know and love.
And this could be a team that, a short 56 game season that you're going to be playing a lot of games hurts a team like them because they're older. You know what I mean? So I think they'll hang on for a playoff spot, but because maybe they make some moves at the trade deadline to maybe like get them a little bit younger and improve. But yeah, man, I think Boston, they're not going to draw any other division. They're in the East. You know what I mean? That's just, if they were in just say Colorado's division, they'd have a much better chance. Yeah. But getting, put in that division with those teams, that's rough. That's a tough ask because Rangers are much improved. They're going to be coming after you.
That's who I got them taking their spot. I got the Rangers taking Boston.
It could happen. It could happen. I mean, Philly, Pittsburgh, and Washington, I think, are locks. So I think your fourth is fighting for between Boston, the Rangers, and Buffalo could be there. I don't know. They're improved.
I got both New York teams, Washington and Philly.
Oh, you think the Islanders are still relevant? Do you? Okay.
With that style, I mean,
That boring, dull style.
Yeah, that old school early 2000s Devils style.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think they'll be all right.
So we'll do our picks like as when the season gets closer, but that just kind of gives you an idea of like where we are kind of mentally. But whoever does make the playoffs, it's a whole different look for how these playoffs are going to be run. It's almost like every single division has their own little mini Final Four. So, your top 4 teams in each division make the playoffs, and they have 2 rounds in that division, interdivisional playoffs, basically. So you're doing seeds 1 and 4, and then seeds 2 and 3. Winner of 1 and 4 plays winner of 2 and 3, and then that one winner goes to the Final Four. So you're getting a champion of one champion of each division into a Final Four, which is going on to play for the Stanley Cup, a semifinal, and then the final is Stanley Cup final. Very odd, man. Very, very odd. So you are not going to play a team outside of your division until the semifinals.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So when it's all said and done, I mean, you're only going to be playing 2 teams. If you're in the Stanley Cup final, I'm just thinking about this now. For the entire season, you're only playing 2 teams outside of your division. Whoever you play in the semifinal, whoever play in the Stanley Cup final. That is bizarre.
It'll be interesting. It'll be. I think this whole when they announced the return to play and the playoff format and how the divisions operate, I just like you mentioned earlier the baseball analogy, how it's that tight race. I think this eliminates like back before COVID in our old how hockey used to be the 82 game season. Everybody remembers what it was like turning on a late February game. It was like on a Thursday night at 6:00. You're just like, oh, I don't want to watch the Avs play the Devils. You're just like, whatever.
Right.
We took those games for granted. They really didn't matter that much. This year, every game's going to matter.
Yeah.
And then you're gonna be watching your team in their division, how they handle it. You're gonna watch other teams in other divisions, and you're going to draw comparisons. Like it's no secret I'm an Avalanche fan. It's like, well, the Avs kind of play like the Capitals. So and there's going to be no meaningless games this year.
No, you're right.
And then you're going to draw a lot of comparisons like, well, Washington did this and we kind of play like them, or Philly does this. I think it's going to be very interesting.
Yeah.
And when you get to the playoffs, it's going to be really fresh series, and you're playing hypotheticals all year long. I think it's going to be really, really interesting.
There was something I said on the Avalanche show. I'm trying to remember what I was talking about now because it was a pretty good point, but I completely lost my train of thought. I don't remember what it was. I'll think of it when we're talking about Mandalorian probably, but what the hell was I going to say? I don't remember.
Concerning playoffs?
Yeah.
The run?
I don't remember what it was.
Well, you can listen to Locked On Avalanche.
Yeah. Whatever I was going to say, I said it on Locked On Avalanche. So just go. I'm turning 40 in like 2 months. So I think the mind starts going then. I don't know. Maybe.
Well, that was a subtle plug for your show.
That's all I really wanted to do.
I can't remember, but if you want to remember with me, listen to Locked On Avalanche.
I had a point. I remember what it was. If you are in, because the season is so short, like if you're in the Avalanche division, and you get off to a slow start, like that division, the West Division, you can find your way back up the standings. Yeah. If you're an Avalanche team and you're a good team, or if you're Vegas or St. Louis and you just start off slow, you have time, not a lot, and as much as an 82 game season, to make your way back up that division standings. Like in the East, you don't have that.
Yeah, not in the North either.
No, definitely not the North. Yeah. So,
a point you made earlier in the show about training camps when they start. The 7 teams that didn't make the playoffs, they report to camp on New Year's Eve. The 7 teams that missed the playoff last year.
Yeah, I heard that. Why?
Because they haven't played in 11 months. They need a little bit more time. Like everybody else has been in a bubble and went through a kind of a training camp just a couple months ago. So they're giving them a little bit more extra time to, I mean, they haven't seen their teammates in about a year on the ice. So they're going to give them a little extra chance to catch up to speed.
I guess if they think 3 days or 4 days is going to improve, but good for them. They've been,
at least they observed it.
They've been sidelined for a while. So
yeah,
that's true. All right. I think that's really it for rosters. You can bring. I think you have a taxi squad now of 4 to 6 guys or something like that. Your rookie time frame. I don't know what they call that. The rookies that come in, they are given usually 10 games to make a decision. After that 10th game, they have to keep them all year. That's
the ELC.
Yeah, because once you play that 10th game, your entry level contract kicks in, and you got to stay there. So that's kind of like a buffer period for teams to see what they got. That's down to 7 instead of 10. I think it's the same thing that they did in playoff hockey last year with the bubble. I think you're getting 3 goalies. So there's things like that here and there, the specifics of the deal and stuff like that. But the main thing is the 4 divisions, Canadian division, 56 games, the playoff format, the way that it is, and hockey's coming back on January 13th.
Yes.
Yeah. Connor McDavid's birthday, which is a crock of shit. I wasn't happy about that when I found that out. So, yeah.
He has to get something.
I know. You got to give him something. So, yeah. So we'll see where we got for any news throughout the week. We will be bringing it here next week. But what we won't be talking about next week, because we got the season finale of The Mandalorian on Disney Plus to move to our, what do we call it? Just our entertainment section.
Yes.
The pop section.
The on the bench, we're fourth line minutes. We're just watching everybody else play.
Yeah. When we're on the bench, we're talking about The Mandalorian because we're not playing. So we might as well talk about it. And if you've listened to or watched the other past couple episodes, I don't want to say I'm a hater of The Mandalorian. I just have not been liking this season. I enjoyed the first season. Not so hot on this one. But this last episode is exactly what I have been wanting from The Mandalorian. A lot of action, really good storyline. I think just because it branched out to other characters, not just him. I think he's too dull of a character, and he needs a supporting cast. And you got a lot of supporting cast in this one. And I was talking to my friend, to Mark, about it, and I was like, dude, even without the big reveal at the end, which, by the way, we are going to talk about. So if you haven't seen The Mandalorian and you don't know what happened at the end and you don't want to know, I guess stop watching. I don't want you to stop watching.
Go back and watch episode 1 and 2. And we got intros now. Yeah.
Right.
Then come back and
come back. So I said, even without that big reveal at the end, it was still a great episode. Had my intention held the entire time. Great action, great drama. And then they just laid the smackdown with the big reveal at the end. So first, just tell me, I mean, you've been loving this season all along. What were your thoughts on the final episode before we talk about the big shebang?
Well, I was huge, kind of shocked me how they handled that finale.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about who it was in a minute, but when they revealed who it was and the post credits, both of those little moments blew me away. I just did not like how they handled revealing the big surprise guest.
Wow. All right. Well, then let's get into that then.
Okay.
So Mando has his people that's with him, and they track down Moff Gideon, and it was a cool way on how they got onto his ship. I thought was really
that was so cool.
Yeah. And then Mando goes one way, knowing exactly where Grogu is, and the rest of them go like right to the bridge and try to take over the ship, and things don't go as planned, obviously. And so long story short, they all get back to the bridge, and they're like the dark what are the dark
troopers. Yeah.
Are who got sucked out of the ship, with a pretty cool scene, flew back because they're not human, they can survive in space, and they are knocking down the door to the bridge, and I'm literally sitting there like somebody has to come, because what they have is just guns, and that's not going to, so somebody has to come here and help them, and it was going to be a Jedi. And then you see an X-wing just kind of fly from behind them, and it's one X-wing, and it's not like a fleet of them. And then just through like the security cams that they're watching, you just see one dude or girl, you don't know who it is at this point, just filleting every single dark trooper. And then I'm like, man, because at first on the screens it was all black and white, and then when they finally showed it was a green saber. So I'm like, all right, that's tip number one. And then as he or she is kind of making their way through and getting closer to the doors of the bridge, you see a glove. And I'm like, all right, that's tip number two. And then when he kills them all and Mando says, open the doors, and he walks through, still has his hood up, and he has one glove on and one bare hand, I'm like, this is Luke Skywalker. And he throws the hood up, and it is Luke Skywalker. I want to say in the flesh, but not in the flesh because it's CGI'd, but I thought it was fantastic CGI, first of all. Then they used Mark Hamill's voice.
Yes.
And they have a conversation, and he pretty much takes Grogu and with R2-D2.
Yeah, that was
there
cool
too. And they kind of go back to an elevator, and I think that's the end. I think that is the end storyline for Baby Yoda. He's done. We might see him here and there like throughout, but I think next season we are getting a completely new mission but going back to the reveal. So you were saying something about you were not happy with something. What were you saying?
Yeah, it's one of those that, like you were mentioning, you saw the X-wing come in, you're like, ooh. And then you see the green lightsaber, you're like, ooh.
Yeah.
And then you see the glove, you're like, oh man, it's Luke.
Yeah.
He comes through the door, you're like, oh, it's Luke. And he takes off the mat, like off his
hood.
robe, and you're like, oh. It was like it like I watched all the Fast and the Furious movies, by the way, and
Right.
It was like when Paul Walker died and they kind of like CGI'd him at the end of Fast and the Furious. You're like, I know that's not Paul Walker. You guys are like, you guys are taking me out of it. Like the CGI on Luke Skywalker, it took a great moment, which would have been like a whoa, and that CGI it took you out of the moment. And it took me out of the moment, and I was just like, oh.
Because it was CGI.
It was a weird CGI.
It was almost like a deep fake. You know what I mean? Like it seemed like it was like a deep fake. But
you could use video game models. I mean,
see,
he's on Battlefront too.
So here's my thing. It's like they have no other way to do it unless they're going to use Sebastian Stan, who a lot of people want him to be like the new Luke because he does look, but there's no other way to do it because time has passed. Mark Hamill is the age he's at, so I don't know, like you when you kind of remove the CGI thing from the equation and just take it on the merits of like this is what Luke Skywalker has done post Return of the Jedi. Then it just becomes like, all right, it's cool. Like, they can't go and recreate anything other than the way that they did it. And it's kind of I've my other friend Bill like absolutely hated that they did it that way. He can't stand it. He and right down to the fact that he thinks like the CGI was terrible. And I'm like, I thought it was pretty good. I went back and watched it a couple times. First of all, like when you don't know it's him and he's just going through those dark troopers, it's just epic because he's just just one at a time, and the music that accompanied it was awesome.
Yeah.
And then like the whole when he reveals himself and he has the conversation with Mando about I'll spend the rest of my life like protecting him and all this. I don't know, like when you just ignore the fact that it is CGI and just focus in on the fact that like Luke is back and just for a scene, just kind of makes it cool to me.
And like I get it, like, but I put it on the same level of the Darth Maul reveal at the end of Solo.
Okay, yeah, and that
when you're like, oh man, Darth Maul, and then he gets out and he's like half spider, like the monster from Toy Story 1.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, okay,
right.
It's not actually the Darth Maul I remember. Like it's the same way with Luke. It's like, oh, it's Luke, but then you look at him, you're like, oh, but they're doing this.
Yeah, I get that. I really understand. I do. And even like at the end of Rogue One with Leia, same thing with that.
Yeah.
Like, you could tell it's CGI, but just remove that and just accept the fact that like, okay, wow, this is like they have, talking about like Rogue One, they have made something that now closes that gap between what happened right before A New Hope.
Yeah.
And whatever, it's CGI. Don't care. But some people get hung up on that. I get it.
And see, and I think it's not taken away from my appreciation of the episode. It just went from like a way up and then it kind of plateaued right there. And then in credits, it sent me through the moon.
Right.
But the thing that sent me over the moon about the episode was Moff Gideon and like being the most wisest, conniving Darth anything, where he completely played that whole situation where Bo-Katan still wouldn't get the Darksaber.
You're right. Right.
And I was just like, oh,
yeah,
that was
because
awesome.
Nobody knew that. Like that wasn't known knowledge until that Mando had it, and he's like, no, in order for her to get it, she has to fight you. I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah, and I think Bo-Katan just got comfortable with the fact that he's a Mandalorian and assumed that he knew that was how it went, but forgot that he was a true Mandalorian, like helmet and all that. Like he observes all that, and he doesn't know about how the Darksaber and the war that the Mandalorians were a part of. He has no idea about that. So she didn't think about saying, hey, if you see Moff Gideon, don't take him down or nothing. I need that Darksaber.
I know. So but she did say he has a weapon that I want.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But she never, went further than that. It was just, I want it. That's true. I didn't think about that, but
that's why she was like, well, what, like when they came through the door, she's like, what happened? She was not anticipating that at all.
Right. I thought the way that Gideon was acting, I thought they were like in on it together or something like that. Because when he told him like, you want to tell him now, or he said something like that, he goes, now is a good time to tell him. And I'm like, are they working together? Like what's going on? And then they just tell you like, no, she wants that Darksaber, but she needs to fight you for it. You just can't hand it over.
See, like just before that, where Moff Gideon was like laying there and he's like, oh, you're going to keep me alive? Well, this will be interesting. I thought he was saying that because he was going to actually watch everything come to fruition.
Yeah.
Where he thought he was just going to let it spiral where Bo-Katan couldn't get the Darksaber.
Right.
He wouldn't see that happen. When he said, oh, this will get interesting, because now he gets to sit there and watch it. Watch it all fall apart. So he was enjoying it.
Exactly. Yeah.
As a bonus.
But going back to the Luke thing, like, when you think about it, like it's almost like who else could it have been?
Yeah.
There's none left other than, Ahsoka Tano. And
do you think he takes Grogu to that school that him and Leia have at
depends on when he set that up. I don't know when because this takes place like right after Return of the Jedi, I believe.
I think this is after the trilogy, because they talk about the second Death Star blowing up many times.
So yes, so no, this is supposed to be after Return of the Jedi, right? So
like,
that
weird gap.
I don't know when he made that Jedi school. I don't know when maybe this starts it for him or something. I don't know. Maybe I think we'll get more of this story in either comic book form or novel book form, because you're not going to do a whole season of CGI'd Luke. But I don't think anybody wants that. But I think people do want to know. I think people want to know, like, what happens after, with both of these guys. People have fallen in love with Baby Yoda, and Luke Skywalker is Luke Skywalker. Now that they're together, I think people want to know, where does that storyline go? And I think the only way you can really do that is probably in a book form.
They'll probably just have like season 3. There'll be like an episode or 2 where they'll like check in on him,
touch on it. Yeah.
And then you'll see little 8-year-old Kylo Ren running across.
Right. Yeah.
In the school.
Yeah. Yeah, because this is. Well, no, wait. Is because weren't people saying? Oh, no. Okay, that's wrong. I'm thinking this is after something was after the fact, but no, because people are saying that he Grogu witnessed Vader, Anakin, like killing all the kids.
Yeah, I was hearing that.
Yeah, so I don't know. I think there's a lot more there. When I say I think that's the end of Grogu, it's not final, but I think for the Mandalorian, it's like either his storyline is done and we get what you said, maybe like a little piece here or there, or they continue that story and print somewhere.
Yeah, I'm curious now, where does Mando go? What does he have to do?
Yeah, that's the big question. Like, because I think next season could be very very telling for Mandalorian. Excuse me. Because they hooked everybody with Baby Yoda in episode 1. Now they got to come up with something they need to come up with a bigger hook. And what is that going to be? I don't know.
Is he going to actually lead with the Darksaber because he now has that power?
He's got it. And I mean that right. I mean that if that's going to be a battle, that's one episode. You know what I mean? That's not something that can sustain over the course of a season. So, and what happened to Moff Gideon? Like he went to go like kill himself, and they knocked the gun out of his
just
hand,
knocked him out,
and then you don't see him. So he's not done. Like, what are they going to do with him? I don't know. There's a lot of questions now on where this show goes after the fact. But you touched on a post-credit scene, which we got. Pretty cool post-credit scene. It's Boba Fett coming back
with everybody's favorite Twi'lek.
What the hell's his name? I keep
Bib Fortuna.
Bib Fortuna, and he's on the throne of Jabba, I think, where Jabba's throne was.
Literally and figuratively filling out the Jabba role.
Yeah,
he's chunky.
Yes, he did not get the Intergalactic Weight Watchers program.
No,
and so Bubba comes right in, have short dialogue, and he just takes him out, shoots him right in the grill, and then he sits down on the throne. And
that was one of the best pictures.
It's an image. That's an image.
That's got to be a painting in my living room in the next 3 years.
So that is going to be his series, because he's getting his own series, which is good because he was supposed to have a movie. And with not even the failure. I don't like when people say that Solo was a failure. Solo was, for that year, it was the number 9 grossing movie of the year. So I don't get where everybody, like, you can like it or dislike it, but it didn't fail at the box office by any stretch of the imagination. But for some reason, Disney canceled all their plans. There was supposed to be a movie for Boba. There was supposed to be a Obi-Wan movie. Now those are, I think, because maybe we benefit from that because they canceled them. Now both of those anyway are turning into, episodic series. And we're gonna get for him.
Kudos to Disney for keeping that under wraps when they were dropping every series and movie for the next 3 years, and they did not mention the Book of Boba Fett at all.
No. And they could have, and that scene still would have been awesome as it was, but they didn't want to do that. They shut their mouths on that entire thing. So
they kept They kept the Book of Boba Fett close to the chest and dinosaurs, the two biggest
the two biggest
two biggest names in their catalog. They kept it to themselves. Congratulations, Disney.
Oh, I love it. Yes. We did get dinosaurs after the fact. That amazing. That's soon too, right?
Yeah, I think like January.
I think so. January is a big month because you get WandaVision in January as well. So I think WandaVision's like 2 days after the hockey season starts. I think WandaVision is like January 15th.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow, that's gonna be an awesome week, man. Awesome week. So.
I feel myself getting sick now. I'm gonna have to
did I tell you
entire week.
Did I tell you well, you were probably listening to the show back then when I was on Enthusiast Life, that I took maybe you weren't listening. I don't know. I took the day off from work when Disney Plus launched.
Oh yeah.
I can say I took a day off from work to watch a streaming service that launched, and it was Disney Plus.
I don't blame you.
And it was a great day. And I'll tell you, the very first thing I ever, because for the sole purposes of going on podcasts like this one and saying the very first thing I ever watched on Disney Plus was the very first thing Disney ever created.
Steamboat Willie?
Steamboat Willie. Was the very first thing I've ever watched on Disney Plus on purpose.
I wish mine was that cool. I literally pulled up the Mighty Ducks animated series.
Yeah. Hey, that's pretty cool. That is pretty
cool. I just wanted to hear that intro one more time.
Wow. So, yeah, man. So Mandalorian season 2 in the books. Another year before we see where this thing takes off from there. So,
give it a grade. Letter grade. Yeah.
If it wasn't for that final, it would have been. If it wasn't for that final episode, the only thing I can remember good that happened on that season is Ahsoka. And I'm not even happy with what, I think Rosario Dawson did great with her. I thought she played her well. I'm upset because like she would never let the Mandalorian take somebody that looks like Yoda away. I had a lot of issues with it. But that's the only thing that really sticks out of my mind. So if it wasn't for that last episode, I would say solid D.
Interesting.
Because I just thought this season was garbage from top to bottom. It was garbage. But because of that last episode, that was 45 minutes of excellent storytelling. I liked the Luke thing. I liked the post-credit thing. That one episode will bring this season up to a C for me. Just that one season.
I'm one tick above that. Even I've been super optimistic about it all season.
Yeah.
It's a B.
Yeah.
Because I did not, that frog episode where they're in the cave with the spiders still just annoys me. But like there were some really good things about the season, good character introductions. But like me being me, now I'm getting kind of worried that everything I fell in love with about Mandalorian in season 1, where it was Mandalorian its own thing. I've already had Ahsoka, Bo-Katan.
Yeah.
We had Luke. Like now I'm like, oh great, now this show's going to be propped up on cameos.
Yeah.
And
right. Right.
So now it's starting to lose a little bit of that, what made it so special and stand out and so vibrant.
Yeah.
And season 1, now I feel like season 3 is going to be, oh, here's Jar Jar. He's operating that machine over there. And
yeah, like and like I said, when we started talking about this, like I don't like Mandalorian, I think on his own is tough sell. To me, it is. So I don't know where he's going to go with these other. They're not really Mandalorians, like Bo-Katan and stuff like that. I don't. They're
bounty. Well,
I guess they're bounty.
Kind of. No, they're kind of Mandalorian. They're the Court of what is it? The Night Owls.
Okay, yeah, like I don't know. Like if you were going to do a show on Kylo Ren, I don't think you would have just Kylo Ren. You would have like the Knights of Ren, and that would be an awesome show. You know what I mean?
That would be.
You need a supporting cast, and you can't have that supporting cast be here and there for scenes or an episode. He needs people around him, and maybe now maybe they all go out together and do stuff. I don't know. But that's just, I think it needs to be more than just him. So
yeah, we'll see where it goes going forward. This is going to be, let's see what you do without a marketing mechanism.
Right. Exactly right, man.
Because I think season 1 was really propped up with everybody in the world wanting Baby Yoda gifts and memes and stuff.
I mean, his
season
stuff,
2 is cameos. What is season 3 going to keep afloat?
I mean, I'm really interested to see how much like actual Mandalorian stuff sells. Not Baby Yoda. Baby Yoda is selling like wild.
I wouldn't mind a Beskar mask.
Yeah,
I did see the dark sabers. They are at Walmart. You can get a dark saber.
Yeah.
Those are pretty cool.
But you're right, man. Like now that, like, you know, Grogu was the cash cow of the show. Now that he's gone, he'll still sell, of course. But that's a good. I didn't think about that. I didn't think about that. So, all right. One last piece of business to do. Do we have a winner for season 3 of NHL 2.0?
Well, your Colorado Avalanche, 49-26-7, made it all the way to the Stanley Cup.
Okay.
Lost
to, I'm going to say
Bruins.
Oh, I was going to say Pittsburgh.
The Boston Bruins.
Boston Bruins. What the hell? Well, all right. So
took
the Avalanche,
7.
Yeah. The Avalanche have made 2 Stanley Cup finals in the 3 seasons we've done this, winning the first one, losing this one, and then somewhere in the middle, Minnesota somehow won one. We haven't figured that. I think the game glitched.
Yeah, that has to be it. I was downloading Cyberpunk at the time. That's probably what it was.
Probably. It's the only explanation.
That's it. I was running the simulation on Cyberpunk and it glitched out and bricked my system.
I love it. So, all right. Well, that'll be it for this week. You can find me over at LOPN_Avalanche. You can find Mr. Von Doom over at
Shaggy Von Doom.
All right.
And the socials, 4th Minutes on Twitter, 4th Line Minutes on Instagram. Both are up and running.
Yes.
So,
all right. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in again. And we'll see what we got for you next week. All right.
Oh, boy. Watch for those secret words.
Yes, absolutely.